Good morning. I'm gonna pin you to the top. Don't mind me, I just finished running up the steps. Sorry, I can't find myself. Okay. Hold on, almost there. All right, there we go. Good morning. I see 4 people here, but I don't know who's here because nobody's commented yet. Angie! Hi, Angie! How are you? Angie is my friend in Florida. Hopefully you're having some sunny weather today and warm. Hi, Karen. Good morning. Hi, Sandra. So today we're going to be playing with some embossing paste. I got a whole bunch of different things out. So I did make one thing ahead of time because it does take, the only thing with embossing paste is you have to wait for it to dry. So the one main card we're going to do today, I made just the background ahead of time. Hi, Amy. Nice to see you. Hi, Lisa. Good morning, Cindy. Hope you're well. Hi, Debbie. Hope you're doing great today. So, oh, and also I want to show you, I did change my card. If you guys watched me the other day, remember I had those flames? So I did change them to tone on tone hamburgers. I think they looked much better. The flames just weren't doing it for me. But this is the card we made the other day. It's a gift card holder. So, you can see gift card comes out. And it's a pretty simple card. But we did do, we refilled our spritzer with shimmer paint and ink refill, and it kind of looks weird when you take a picture of it. It doesn't look like super clear, but I kind of did like a spray splatter. It ended up turning out, it really looks cool in person. Sometimes with the splatter technique it kind of looks a little strange, but it looks really neat. It kind of almost looks like smoke coming from the back of the grill, like when you look at it, because that's what always happens when I grill. I don't know about you guys. And I did share this the other day in case you missed it. This is called the, I think they should call it the fill station, because a gas station would be really cool. It might be the fill station or the refill station, but this is a new product from Crafter Solutions. So you can fill your spritzer bottles. You can put this part here, or you can flip it upside down, and that way you can spill it without, so you can shake it and it's not going anywhere. You can also use this to fill your aqua painter too as well. So I did do a video with that the other day, so I showed you guys that. So today with using, I'll tell you a couple things before we get started. I do have the tools, and Stampin' Up does carry these. You might have your own, which is fine, but it's just like I honestly I've only used this one, and it's, even though I clean it, it's still a little bit cruddy. But it comes with these 3 tools in the pack. And then I have 2 different things. So I have the shimmery white embossing paste, and I also have just the regular white embossing paste. So when you do these, and I have this back here. So first of all, I have towels. I just cleaned my towels. But you want to make sure you have soapy water. Okay, so this is just, I squirted a good amount of dish soap in here and then just put a little bit of water in it, because it's really, really important for 2 different things. I use my silicone mat to mix it with, and you can pretty much get anything off of this. It's really, really easy to clean. However, you want to clean this stuff right away, because the embossing paste, when it gets on, is really, really, really hard. Some crazy hair in the back. Really, really hard to get off. So one other tip I'm going to tell you, I also got out my masks because I thought maybe we could use these, because you could use these with your embossing paste. That's another great thing you can do with it. It's really very versatile. And as a matter of fact, there's another card that I've been meaning to do. So what I might do is I might mix up the background for today, but it will take a little bit of drying, and then I will finish it another day with you guys. So I'll do that one as another, probably another live video. I just don't know if I'll get to it this week or not. But there's been a lot of things that I've wanted to do with it. Other stuff you can do with it. You can add stuff into it. You could add glitter into the paste while it's wet, so it'll kind of stick to it. Kind of like frosting, if you were to add sprinkles or jimmies to frosting, and then it kind of sticks to the frosting while it's still a little bit wet. but you can do the masks with the embossing paste. Lots of different techniques that you can do. So it's very, very versatile, but it's really instrumental that you clean it right away. So this is a great thing to mix it on. So this is the Silicone Mat. This is in the back of the catalog. And hang tight here because I did try to keep this open so I would have everything I wanted to tell you about. There's my page here. Did I go the wrong direction? Yeah, of course I did. 1 second. Okay, so you have back here in the very back of your catalog, so it's in page 181, you have your 2 different embossing pastes. So you have shimmery white and plain white. You have the decorative masks. These are the original masks. There is also a newer set of masks that aren't really in a catalog. These were from the holiday catalog and they carried over. These are called the basic pattern masks. So you still can find this online. And then you also have the palette knives up top if you needed these. Again, you could just use, I wouldn't use, because I did this at first, I wouldn't use a plastic knife that has the ridges unless you wanted to go for texture, because it's going to give you texture every time. Maybe you could use the other end to smooth it if you wanted to. So you can always get around it with easier stuff. Your silicone mat is also somewhere back here, but can't find it at the moment. Another thing, so you have your Stampin' Spritzers in the back. If you wanted to have that shimmer paint to add to it, that is back here as well. So most of this stuff is on like page 180 is kind of where all the tool things pick up. So the other thing you could do is you could do your ink refills. Dang. Oh, silicone craft sheet right here. It's in the back. This is actually on page 183. So this is the thing that we're going to use for the cleaning portion of it. So I just wanted to share those couple things with you. And now I'm going to move all this stuff out of the way. I did get out, and I don't really know what I'm going to use it for, but I did get out some DSP because I thought another thing that maybe we could do is just to kind of play around with it, not necessarily to make a card today, but maybe we could put one of the masks over top of a piece of DSP. Yeah, the knives at the dollar store. It's kind of like the same thing with me with the makeup brushes that are the blending brushes. So save what money you have to. Believe me, I totally understand. But I thought maybe we could take some DSP and put a pattern over it and see what it looks like. So we'll see. So you could do that with or without ink. You could do it white or not white. But one other thing I want to tell you about, and I didn't do this the first bottle that I bought, and it's super important. So when you open this up, you're going to always have this little lid. It has like a little cardboard piece, and it kind of tends to stick down to this, which really is helpful. So I peeled the foil off on this one. This one gets really dry really fast. So learn the lesson by one bottle I had to throw away. So when you open your cap, it normally, I don't know what happened to this one either. Did I pull it off? It normally will have foil over top of it. And don't do what Rachel did. What I would do is I would take the foil, break it, peel it back, but be able to put it back on top because it's going to keep it more moist. So when I'm finished, this is the inside lid. I will tend to make sure that I cover this before I put the lid on. And you really want to make sure that when you're finished with using this, use it, close it up. And if you have to get more out again, open it back up because this dries out really, really fast. You can, a couple times I have been able to add a little bit of water to kind of rehydrate it, but once it's really stiff, there's not really much you can do. So I would highly recommend that when you open this, it will, like I said, it comes with a foil covering on top. I would just peel it back and put it back on again. And then you can also, you can see this one kind of stuck. It also has this kind of little cardboard lining inside of here. And normally I will just make sure that I set that on here before I put the lid on. So just a couple tips to make it hopefully last longer for you. Oh, Donna, that's a good idea. Press and seal. You could do that as well because you want to keep it wet, basically. Not wet, moist. I know everybody loves that word. So let me move this. We did, I did pull out Do the Impossible. I got this, and speaking of my friend Angie, if she's still in here watching, one of the sayings that's on the wall in a lot of the stuff when they redo things at Disney World is it's kind of fun to do the impossible. It's a Walt Disney saying. So when I saw this, even though I have done one mini triathlon and I was a competitive swimmer for many years, a long time ago, when I saw, I had to get it for that sentiment because you guys know I love Disney. more than probably normal people should, but whatever. So anyway, we're gonna move down to the desk. So if you do get a little bit nauseated, just look away for a minute. I just want to kind of clean up my area. Gotta find a place to put my candy bar. That's for after. Haven't even had any candy yet. Can you believe it? All right, so I'm gonna flip you around. Oh, look at that. She did. She's still on there. It's kind of fun to do the impossible. What I need to do is to make a Mickey card, a Mickey head card. Okay, guys, so you're flipped down now. Everything is settled and straight, so thank you for bearing with me. You just put this tripod out of the way. And I want to mention one other thing. Someone asked me recently, we were talking about cards, and they asked about military cards. So I have something in the works. You guys remember a while back we did all those camouflage cards? So I had a whole bunch of them left, and I cut them out with layers of stars in black. So I am working on a kind of, she said military, first responder kind of thing. So I'm working on a card for that. So I didn't forget. I don't remember who asked, but I did not forget. So we'll do something with that as well. So I'm going to put the stamp set on the side because we really don't need that yet. And just for the sake of attempting, whoops, to be neat, see if I can move a few of these things over. So what I'm going to do to first start is I have my silicone mat. I'm just going to get out my same old palette knife that I always use. And for the main card we're doing today, I am going to do it in Seaside Spray because that's what I already used. So I'm going to get my Seaside Spray re-inker. And we'll do one with the sparkle because the first time I did with plain, but we'll try the sparkle. So I'm going to do that for this one. And then for the second card, I'm going to do Bermuda Bay, Gorgeous Grape. I wonder what peacock would look like that. I don't know if it'd be too dark. I'm going to do that peacock. So this is going to be the card that I'm going to just make the background. And then after the fact, I will go back and make the card another day. But I want to kind of do the background for that. So we'll do that one second. And then for this one, we're going to do the main card with the swimming card. It's actually the one that's shown in the example in the occasions catalog. So we're going to do that. So in case you missed it, I'll show you what that one looks like. This is the card we're recreating today. Right here. Now mine, I will tell you, does not look exactly like this in the background, what I already did. So I'm going to aim for trying to do it a little bit more. And then maybe we'll do another one with the cyclists, but we'll do just a little bit of gray at the bottom. So we will do Seaside Spray. And I don't really want to do basic gray because I feel like it'd be kind of dark. How about Smoky Slate? We'll just do that for the bottom. So I do have thick Whisper White cardstock, and the reason that I'm picking that is because you want something that's going to hold up, because once you add this, you absolutely have to let it dry, but it does tend to kind of, it doesn't really warp your paper, but because it is a little wet, it can make it a little funky, so you want to start with a very thick cardstock. So I'm going to trim this down. And then I'm going to get another piece for the Smoky Slate and another piece for the other project. So I'm going to have 3 pieces. Let me see, what do I think that is? I'm going to go with 3 by 4. So I'm just going to cut this down just to give myself a little extra room. That's probably about good. So 3 by 4. And then for the other one of them I'm going to do a crossways card. So we will do this one at 5 by 4. And then the other one again is a full card front. So I'm going to do the same thing. So I have 2 pieces that'll be 4 by 5. I probably should have done 5 1/4, but I didn't think for that one. So I'll do 1 by 5 1/4. And then the other thing, like I said, I know I just said that this does kind of warp your paper, which is correct. So I'm really not sure what I'm going to do with the whole DSP thing. But I'm going to get out, just while we're here, this is just a scrap piece. Let's see, what is this? 4 by 5 1/4. We'll just use this. So I'm just going to put something on top. I have no idea what. So we'll do something with this one. And then we'll do another one with the, let's see, what do we have in here? Just with something different to kind of play around and see. So let me look at our patterns here. So the basic pattern masks are the ones where you have the dots. And actually this one's in the wrong one. I put that in the wrong one. The dots kind of have that filigree pattern, and then you have the leaf pattern. So these you can use with anything. You can use them with ink and maybe like a blender pen, or not a blender pen, a sponge dauber, or these makeup brushes. You could use any of these with ink. You can also do them with embossing powder or embossing paste. You could actually ink them with Versamark. That's another good idea. Which one of these is the odd one out here? Because you have the brick wall, oh, these were fun. This is the one I did that card that one time with, oh, this will be cute on the hearts. Maybe just some clouds. We're going to do this one. That'll be fun for that one. But let me see what I wanted to do. I was thinking of something maybe with a birthday theme. How about if we do just these? These, and we'll do something simple. The dots. And we'll color this in some direct. I don't know exactly what we're going to do, but that's our plan. So we'll see what comes of it today. So we're going to do the dots on top of the balloons. We're going to do the clouds on top of the arrows. This was the Valentine's paper, just a leftover piece. And then we have two other ones. We're going to do one of them in a landscape for the bikers. And then this one is going to be for the other card I'll show you eventually. So we have all that done. I think we're only probably going to get one card actually put together today, though. So I'm going to do shimmery white first. So I'm just going to go in and grab. You don't really need a lot, really technically. And you kind of also, one other thing you want to do is when you scoop some of this out, as much as you're able to, so you could use a little spoon for this, you kind of want to keep it so it's flat down in there because there's less of it exposed to the air. So just going to grab some of that, close this back up. Then I'm going to put just one drop of the Seaside spray. Okay. Let me put this back so I remember which one I use. So I'm going to just take this, and you think one drop, but you kind of want it to be light, like pool water. So you don't want it to be too dark. And the sparkle in this is really, really cool. So you could even do this that you were doing maybe like a an ocean water. So you could do it like Caribbean water, maybe with some Coastal Cabana, you know, my favorite color of all time. So it does look really pretty. But again, it also does dry really quickly. So you see, I'm just kind of mashing it around, trying to make sure I didn't have any clumps of color. And then what I'm going to do is take, this is my paper. My other one is much bigger than this. And I'm just going to kind of smear what I think would be like pool waves, kind of. So just picking up kind of pieces, spreading it. I definitely would recommend either working on a very large scrap paper. This is a mat that wipes clean, so it doesn't, I will tell you, this does stick a little bit to it, so it doesn't wipe 100% clean. And I'm kind of just trying to go for like a slight wave look. So like a swish. It's not going to be perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want it to be covered, really. My other one is not nearly as covered. Okay, so that's one. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, as best I can to try to not make a huge mess, kind of try to clean this up. And if there's any, I'm just going to scrape the rest of this. Kind of stays, just not to waste it. You really don't know how much you're really necessarily going to use, but it's super duper sparkly. I don't really even know if that's showing up on the camera, but it's really, really sparkly. It's very pretty. So I'm going to set this over here on the side. Now, what I'm going to do in the meantime is grab my soapy water. I'm going to put my tool in there, and I'm going to put this in, just like that. And then, I should have brought paper towels with me. That would have been smart. And I actually did think of that, but then I got distracted this morning. You know, it doesn't take much for me to get distracted. So, I forgot my paper towel. So, I'm just wiping this mat off underneath here. And then, normally I would do this in the sink, but just to, whoops, just to kind of show you guys what we're doing. You want to just really wipe this off in your water. and then you kind of wipe it dry with your towel. Now, I will tell you, it's really hard to get all of it off. So there almost always seems to be some residual on there. The silicone mat is different though. Because of whatever that is made of, the silicone does not, nothing really sticks to it. So that one comes pretty clean almost every single time. So I probably wish I would have had a little bit of a clean rinse bowl, but it's bad enough already. I have my coffee over here and a soapy water container. So I'm just going to wipe this off. And then I'm going to move this back over. So the other thing is, if you're doing this with your masks, so for example, when I'm done with this, I'm just going to put it right in the water. That way it'll clean it off and kind of soak it. Because the masks, probably because of the plastic. Oh, look, I even got a little bit on my fingernails. Oh, well, that's okay. They really tend to have the stuff stick to them. So like I said, it's best to kind of work in an area where you are able to kind of clean it up sooner than later. All right, so that was number one. So you have number one. So this is going to take a little bit to dry. So now I'm going to do the second one. Keep this here. For the second one, we said we were going to do the, oops, the guys that were on the bikes. So I'm just going to grab a little bit. So this stuff that's kind of up here at the top that I didn't mix, I'm going to use way less for this one because I don't want nearly as much on the bottom there. This stuff at the top is going to always be crustier because I didn't follow my own advice and push it all to the bottom. So same thing again, just get out what you need, close it back up. And I'm just going to use a little dot of, what do we say we picked for this one? Smoky slate. So smoky slate. This is probably going to get a little bit, yeah, darker just because of the, oh, you know what we can do for this? I haven't done this before, but we're going to try it. We'll see if it works. So this one's going to be not really messy, but I haven't done this, so we'll see what it kind of looks like. It might make it look a little bit like asphalt. We'll see. So I'm going to grab, I mix this up. I'm going to grab my card base. And again, I'm kind of just doing this at the bottom. And you really could, when you do these, you could stamp them and put them on top. So I'm not going to be too careful to see where I place things, because I could always fussy cut the bikers after the fact, or the cyclist, I guess I should say. Or if you still have Dawn's One Wild Ride, you could do this with a motorcycle. It'd be kind of neat. I think Tina, if she's watching this, she's a biker chick. So we're just going to spread that around. So I'm going to put these into the soaker while I do my next trick. Let's see if this works. So what I have, just thinking of this might be fun. I'm going to grab, where is it? And I think you can heat this too, but I'm not really sure. So we'll find out by the end, and then you'll know whether or not to try it, if it is or isn't safe. But I'm going to grab a coffee filter. I'm going to take the black Shimmer embossing powder. And let me grab a scrap piece of paper. And I'm going to just sprinkle this. I'm not trying to sprinkle heavily, so I'm going to kind of stay up just a little bit. That was probably a little heavier than I intended. Now my thinking is, since this is wet, it should stick to it, but I am going to heat it just a little. Again, I've not done this before, so I'm not really sure if this is or isn't a good idea. But worst case scenario, at least today of all days, I do have water, so I could always just douse the thing. Or I could sacrifice my coffee and spill it on top of it. But let's see how it goes. Let me move this over here. All right. I'm going to turn on my heat tool. I'm going to turn it on to high just to get it heated, but then I'm going to turn it on to low when I heat it. Tina Wardell, the biker artist. That's hilarious. She is an amazing artist. I'm not sure about her biker skills, but as a matter of fact, I think Tina recently said she had to stop riding her bike, so I'm sure that was sad for her. Maybe I'll have to send Tina this card and tell her she can take up cycling instead. Tina, did you know we were talking about you? Are your ears burning? So I'm just going to heat this gently. Because again, you definitely do need time for this embossing paste to dry. And I'm talking like a couple hours. So you can see it is bending the cardstock a little bit because of probably the paste and then also heating it. I'm going to crank it once and just see. Because it should still pick up some sort of a shimmer. Kind of almost looks like asphalt. Very messy asphalt, but... Ooh, it's bubbling. It's kind of reminding me of that, the heating snow puff stuff that we had for the snowman. Do you guys remember that? I still have some of it. As a matter of fact, I believe it's still current, but it's kind of bubbling when you heat it. So I'm not going to heat it too much more, only because it is warping a little bit, but it did set. But right here, there's a really big bubble there. So I think that looks pretty cool. It definitely isn't smooth like your normal embossing paste heat, and I don't want to touch it because my luck, I will burn myself, but I think that's pretty cool. So we'll do something with that eventually. So there's that. I keep putting this over here. This one still really needs to dry. So I'm going to pop both of these up here so they're out of the way. And let me wipe off my little tool. Okay. All right, and we're going to do one more with the silicone mat before we move on to the masks. And the masks we're going to do over DSP. So this is like a festival of embossing paste. How many things can you do with embossing paste in one video? Okay, so for this one, I'm going to do similar. So once again, I'm going to grab my one last piece. So this one I know from what I remember of seeing the card. I want to do this as a vertical card. So I'm going to do 3 different things. So I'm going to kind of do 3 little clumps, but I do want to do the shimmery because when I remember seeing it, it was really neat. So I don't need big clumps. I'm going to take 3... That could be 2 clumps. 1, actually, this could almost be 3. Let me just get a little bit more. So 3 clumps. I'm going to go from lightest to darkest because I'm not going to clean my, this knife off in the meantime. So I'm going to start with Bermuda Bay. I almost wonder if I should start with something lighter. I'm going to switch off for Bermuda Bay. I'm going to go for my absolute favorite, Coastal Cabana. So we're going to do Coastal Cabana, Gorgeous Grape, and Pretty Peacock. So Coastal, just have 1 drop. Grape. So I'm going to do blue, blue, and then purple. That way I can kind of stick with the color palettes, hopefully without contaminating anything. Come on. And then Peacock. All right, so let me do this one first. So this is a lot for this little bit of paste, but what I saw, it was a very, the background was really neat and intense. And some of you probably have already seen this, but I'm going to keep it for a surprise because I'm sure it was somebody else's idea. I just can't remember who at this point, so I have to go back and look. So I'm going to just take this and smear it across. That's one. Kind of keep this a little higher. Okay, so then I'm going to go to the Peacock. Ooh, that's really dark. I might have to do the purple first. Yeah. Try to get that off. I'm going to do the... What did we pick? Gorgeous Grape? Yes. Gorgeous Grape. And these probably will dry a little bit lighter than what they are. So that's the Gorgeous Grape. So I'm just kind of smearing it across, kind of bring them so they overlap a little bit. This is fun only because this reminds you of like when you were able to do whatever it was you wanted to do when you were a kid with arty stuff and your mom didn't yell at you because she was like, oh, they're being creative. Right? I don't really even love when the rainbow stamper does that. But all right, last one is Pretty Peacock. Wow, these colors are flippin' awesome together. Ah, I love it. Okay, so there's that. Let's see. Hopefully this is going to look even remotely what I think it's going to look like on this card. Like I said, that I have a little bit better in my mind than anything. We'll see. That's a little up. All right, so I'm going to leave this. It may end up going this direction when we're done, but I'm going to put this real quick into the pond, we'll say, to soak. And I'm going to clean off my embossing knife. My embossing knife, geez, it was my palette knife, whatever the heck you call it. Okay, and let me grab my towel. Okay, so this one is going to be for another day, so I'm going to put this on the side. So let us grab, let's see, what else are we going to do? We have, I'm going to do the clouds white. So we're going to do them on the back of this and just do it white. So what I'm going to do, what do I want to do? Purple tape, that's what I'm looking for. I'm going to tape this down and then tape that on top, just so it doesn't move. So kind of just, there's a grid underneath it here I'm kind of trying to follow. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of position the clouds. That looks good. So I'll use this tape over again. You know me, I am the avid recycler. All right, let me make sure this is pretty wiped off. So I'm going to just use the regular white embossing paste. And I'm going to get a little hunk of it out. Yeah, that's probably good. And then I'm going to spread it. Okay. The reason I'm not talking is because I'm realizing how much stiffer this paste is to spread than I realized, because it's probably a lot. I think I probably need to order a new one, as a matter of fact. Hopefully this isn't something that they're going to be like, yeah, nobody wants this, we're going to discontinue it. So if you don't have this, make sure you get it. So you can do some. I'm going to get a little bit more out, because I was a little bit short. Okay. Same thing again. I'm just trying to keep my fingers away from here, because apparently it does kind of stick to your nail polish. So now, you guys know I change my nail polish a zillion times because I don't go get my nails done. I do them myself. And I already have my weekend holiday green because we are going somewhere this weekend. So, yeah, mine is a little bit, this paste is a little bit crumbly. So when I'm trying to spread it a little bit, it's not spreading quite as nicely because it's drying. So make sure, like I said, with the tips I gave you, kind of, some of this is going to be a little clumpier. Make sure you put your lid back on, you keep your foil on. Really will just save you money in the long run because you'll have your paste longer. Okay, so I'm going to lift this up and see if I can salvage these two pieces here. And then this, I'm going to pull off. I'm going to put this right in the wash station. And even though it's not dry yet, because it will dry lighter, show you. As a matter of fact, you know what I might do? I might heat this just to see if it puffs at all. Well, let me put this in for a minute. Okay, my little pieces. Let me wipe off this stuff here. Because it's kind of strange when the white paste, like at some point it'll flake off, but once it's really on there, there's not much getting it off. So you can see what the clouds look like. Again, this is a very thin paper, so it's definitely is a little wavy, but I'm going to heat it and see what happens. You can add, you can try adding a little bit of water, but sometimes when it's really dried out, it's kind of pointless. I am keeping it moving, especially because this is white embossing paste, and I don't want it to scorch. So I don't want to heat it too much more because I don't want to set it aflame. But I want you to see. So you can see the clouds here. But when you look at them from the bottom, they really are puffy. I have a lot of puff to them. So this will take a little bit to dry. One other thing I'm going to do, only because while I have it here, might as well. And we'll see if this kind of helps with the drying, is I'm going to spray this. And I think I have a clear spritzer. Let me see. Well, that's not clear. Just so it'll give a little shine to the clouds, because I think I have shimmer paint in here. Yeah, there's just such a little bit. Let me fill this up real quick. So take that and whoops. Add alcohol. I said the other day, I was joking, if you still have some rubbing alcohol that you're not using to make your own hand sanitizer. And this is the Champagne Mist Shimmer Paint. So I just like to shake it up before I put it in there. We also have Frost White. And you might still be able to get on the clearance rack the copper and the Vegas Gold. See if I can get that chirp to go in there. But these are really fun. They do last a long time. Lots of stuff you can do with them too. You can paint with them. So I'm just going to put my lid back on. Shake this up. Okay. And now I'm going to just give this a spritz. So it should give a nice shimmer all over. But again, this is going to add to the drying time too, because now you can see it made it curl, but it will dry flat eventually. So it'll give just a total shimmer spray to this. I'm running out of room over here. So I'm going to move that one to the side. Wipe this off, and we'll do our last one, and then we'll put our card together for that first one. Because if my layer's not dry, I have another layer I can use. All right, so same thing again. With this one, what I'm going to do is, just since it's whole, I'll just do the whole sheet, and then I can always cut it down. So I'm just going to put 2 pieces, line this up, because it doesn't really go to the edge, so we're kind of okay. Line it on the side. All right. Oh, the silver embossing paste is on clearance. I never used that. I think the silver, Kathy, thank you for mentioning that though. I think the silver was a little bit more wet and definitely took longer to dry, but yeah, you could try that for sure. So for this one, how about we'll do the shimmery white, but I'm also going to add a color to it. That way it kind of sticks out a little bit more against those balloons. I'm not sure what color yet. Anybody have any suggestions? It looks like it probably need to be something really bold for the dots to show up. Let me just pull this back for a second. Black seems a little morbid. Poppy. We could do terracotta. That would kind of work. Anybody has any other suggestions aside from terracotta? Shout them out. I'm going to clean off my little thing here. Purple. Now that's a good idea. The filling station. That's what it's called, Kathy. Thank you. I called it the fill station earlier. Oh, geez. I'm glad I have somebody here to help me. Purple might be cool. Let's try purple. Why not? Let's do... So we have a purpley purple. Let's do Gorgeous Grape. I feel like Highland Heather might not be quite dark enough. And we're going to do it with the shimmery paste. So I'm going to just get out a little bit of that. This one is a little bit slightly more moist than the white. My white probably needs a new one. So I'm going to do 2 drops. That way it really will show up. So I'm going to go ahead and just mix these together. Well, nice. It's really vivid, so hopefully it will show up really cool. And even if it's just kind of a background thing, it could just be something fun. Get the rest of that purple in there. You can see this one spreads. That's how you can tell this one isn't as dry as the other one. It spreads much easier. Okay, so I'm going to pick this up. Same thing again and just spread across. You can see how it's just spreading so much nicer. And you can go back and forth. You don't have to go in just one direction. I'm going to make sure I try and get the whole thing though. That way, whatever I end up using this for, and again, you absolutely can use the other knives. I just have never, I've only ever used this palette knife. I'm sure the other ones are probably great for using as well. I just haven't done it. You go to the edge. Okay, see if I have a little bit more here. We can kind of make sure we cover all the dots. All right, there we go. I'm going to put these in. All right, and then I'm going to pull this off. All right, here we go. The big reveal. Ready? Oh my gosh, it looks so cute. Who would have thought? I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't sure how that purple was going to look. But it looks so adorable. It's really fun. Now, granted, this is going to take some time to dry because since this DSP is so much thinner than cardstock, it is a little bit wonky. But can totally trim this up. You can use this for a bunch of different cards. You could do one and cut it at 4 and then have like a 4 by 5 1/4 background. Use a 2-inch strip and cut it in something. Use the inside strip for something else. So really super fun. What a great idea. Man, you have a good eye for the color there because I tell you, I never would have thought purple, but purple looks super cute on there. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the one that I made. So again, we're going for recreating this card. So we do have to do a little bit of stamping. So the one I made yesterday is this. It's not as, obviously I used the sparkle or the shimmer paste for this one. And I did trim this down a little bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim this down. And I'm actually not going to use my Stampin' Trimmer. I'm going to use my guillotine cutter just because I don't want to gum up my Stampin' Trimmer with this. So if you don't have a different trimmer or alternate trimmer, I would definitely make sure you trim this down to the size that you want. So we're going to trim this down and then we're going to stamp this guy though in the meantime. So let me see if I can find a piece of scrap. Actually, I want a thick piece because I'm going to do him in blends. So I'm going to have to cut this one down. So this is just Thick Whisper White, which is my preference with if you're using this for a base card or if you're using something on top of it like we just did with the paste or with the blends. I think it just really lends to a nicer finished product. So that's why I tend to like that one. So I'm going to get out... Let me move this over too. I'm going to get out the swimmer dude. Or I guess it could be a dudette, as my mom would have said. I'm going to get the swimmer. And we're going to cut this with a die. We're going to do the stitch circle die. But I'm going to stamp him with black Memento ink. So we can use the blends. Let's see. Let me grab that. So Memento ink, since it's water-based, you're able to use it with the alcohol-based markers. If we were doing this with watercoloring or the other ones, you could use StazOn. So I'm just going to stamp him about in the center. We have plenty of room. And we're going to just stick with the theme they have. So they kind of have this pool party, coastal cabana, and then the mango. We're going to do that because I think it's a really nice color combination. Kind of like Cindy when she suggested the orange and the purple. Really goes pretty well together. So I'm going to use, I have my pool party, light and dark. And let's see, Mango Melody. That should be them. Yep, light and dark. I can pretty much tell those now. I'm going to do, what is this? Light basic black, just to make sure his goggles are filled in a little bit. And I'm going to do ivory for the skin. So I'm just kind of was trying to buy a little time to let this dry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with the darker bullet tip. So this is the thinner tip of the Stampin' Blend. And I'm going to kind of go around where the water is, where it comes close to his body and face. Kind of hit a couple of these highlight splashes here. Okay. And then I'm going to go in with the brush tip of the light pool party and kind of blend it down. Again, I know we've talked about this recently with the whole thing with letting them dry first versus not. I really haven't been able to tell a difference, but if anybody has done enough of the blends or knows anything about alcohol marker that you should let it dry ahead of time, please let me know. I would love to hear what you have to say. Now, we are going to cut this out, so I'm not going too far, but I'm going to go back in just with the brush tip of the dark and just kind of hit a couple of these spots. Make them a little darker. I know one other Stampin' lady that I follow, Lisa Curcio, says that she likes to let hers dry before she does the second part, but I've not noticed that it really makes a difference. So again, this time I'm going to go in with the light. I do tend to do the light first. So we'll do his swim cap. Does tend to coordinate with your swimsuit. So him or her, whoever it is. So I just did a little bit of light and then a little bit of dark. A little bit. I'm going to go back once more with the light. Coming out of the water. Here we go. I'm going to go in with the bullet tip just to make sure the goggles are filled in. Because I always liked those dark blackout goggles when I was swimming. And then just ivory for the skin. Obviously, you can make your swimmer whatever skin tone you like. But the nice part about the blends, if you haven't noticed, is when you use them, they don't leave lines where you color. So if you add something in and you add it over again, so if we were to wait a few minutes for this to dry, and then we go back again with the ivory, you can kind of add in almost a little shading over it. It's like you're adding another layer of that same color, so it does give a little bit more of a tone, but it doesn't leave streak marks. So I think that's really pretty cool. I'm going to do a little bit more just with the background here, just since the water is going to be just kind of trying to fill in the area behind, because you know, when you're swimming, you're not swimming in that one little spot. Unless you're like Michael Phelps and you have that really cool swim pool. Okay, so here is our swimmer. So I got out ahead of time. Let's see which one works. The stitch shapes. These are my favorite dies. That's a little too small. We'll do this one. So we're going with the second largest stitched circle. I'm going to cut that out. And I'm going to use what I said. It's kind of fun to do the impossible. And so instead of doing let's go, I'm going to do that. It's kind of fun. Or actually, we'll just say do the impossible. I like that one for now. Okay, so I'm going to cut this out. Give me one sec. And then we'll layer these together. And I am going to need to cut one more thing. So I'm going to cut a little bit larger of a circle, I'm just going to use a regular layering circle for that. And I'm going to do that in Coastal Cabana. And then we're going to back this one to Pool Party. So let me see which one goes. It's exact. Should be this one. Okay, so we're going to do that. So that's the second largest layering circle. Again, if you don't have the stitch circles, you could certainly use the regular ones, but I really do like them. All right, so I have a piece of Coastal Cabana. I'm going to use that, cut that out, and we're going to put this on a base of Pool Party. And I just want to grab a little piece of mango. I'll just do a little strip for the greeting. And I'll do that in black. So, here's this, and this, and I don't know. I think the whole thing's going to fit. We're going to use the whole one. You know, I change my mind. Sometimes for better, sometimes for worse. All right. To cut this out, and oops, have to stamp this. Grab my memento again. We can make this. This card will be dedicated to a Paralympian, because they certainly do kick some butt when people tell them they can't do anything anymore. So let me move that over. Move this here. I'm going to cut this out, and we'll trim that out, and then we're going to put it together, and we're good to go. Almost done. I'm just thinking, you know what I need back here is a Sue stamper. So they can do all my behind the scenes die cutting for me. It doesn't pay anything. All right, so I'm going to bring that to the end, trim it. Okay. So that's lined up. So we have our little sentiment there. So still a little time left to get your hand on this mini trimmer. If you would like to join my stamping team, you get that as a, so there we have that layer there. You get this as a cool part of the starter kit through the end of March. March 31st is when it ends. Let me trim this down. So we're kind of done with this at this point. So let's see. I'm going to trim this to 4. I'm going to do by 5. Actually, I'm going to trim this end off instead. Nope. That one has more coverage. Sorry. Okay. So one thing about this, you are going to need some heavy duty adhesive, because this does have a little bit of bend to it. So make sure you could either double up on your adhesive, or just use a super strong adhesive, maybe even tear and tape. I'm going to use Fast Fuse and liquid glue. So I'm going to put this down. And same thing when you're sticking on top of it, because you're going to have this bumpy surface that is going to be a little bit difficult to get things to stick to. So peel my little piece off of there. And I did not draw my tipsy winners from when we were live the other day yet, so you didn't miss that. You know it takes me steps to be able to do stuff, right? So I'm just going to push this down, give it a nice press. And I noticed it kind of looks like they have a little bit of that metallic thread. And to me, it kind of almost looks silver. So I'm going to use a little bit of that. I'm not sure, now that I think about it. I don't really know if that is or isn't current in the catalog, because quite honestly, myself and ribbon, I have the hardest time finding if something is or isn't in there. So I'm just going to cut a piece and hope that something is in there. And I guess I'll find out after the fact when I look in the catalog. Unless one of you lovely people know that it does. So I'm actually going to put this onto here. That way I know it'll stay. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of glue. Let me see. Those tipsies are awesome. Believe me, straight up, you will never believe how much glue you get out of it that you thought you already used. So I'm just going to put a crisscross just to be able to get my string to kind of stick behind. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of lay this out where I think I want it. So it kind of goes swirling. Like, this is almost a little too big. I almost think I did a little bit too much, but is there too much, is there such thing as too much metallic thread? I kind of got those bunched together. And I'm going to take this and put it back here. And that way, if there's a little piece, like I don't want this little strip sticking out, so I'm going to just turn this straight piece back in. Just like that. And then I'm going to put a couple dimensionals on this, but I'm also going to put a little bit of liquid glue onto the back of the dimensionals just to make sure they stick. So I'm going to be a little bit extra with my dimensionals. I'm going to use 5 because I want to make sure this sticks to this base. And then I'm going to put a little bit of glue on top of the dimensionals to make sure that it finds enough grip. And then we just have to add the sentiment. Nice part about, if you've never done this before, it also lets you be able to move it. So you can kind of adjust where you have it. There we go. Okay, we have that. And then same thing again. I'm just going to trim this just a little bit closer on the ends. And you could do the same thing. Let's see. Now, I'm going to just glue this straight down. I was going to say you could also pop this up on dimensionals if you wanted to, but I'm just going to put it straight in. So put a good amount of glue there because it's kind of sticking to 2 different things. It's sticking to the embossing paste and it's also sticking to the plain cardstock underneath. There you go. So I know this was a long way around for just this one card, but I hope that you guys found some great inspiration through all the other things we made. So let me bring these back out again. I'll show you. This one is starting to dry already. It's actually probably because this is the one we heat. It's almost dry. So there's that one. The first one we did, you can still feel the underneath part of this is definitely very damp. So this one I'm going to sit because it's a full sheet. I'm going to set this on the side. I won't use this for a while. This is the one where we dumped a little bit of the sparkly black embossing powder and heat set it. So this one is dry. Maybe like these little places here where it's a little bit more goopy. It's not quite as dry. But what I think I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to do these cyclists. And I think I'm going to stamp them and kind of trim around them as a whole group, color the scene a little bit and put them on top. And then I probably will do something with the background where I color this in maybe with a sponge. Actually, you could use this and even do the sky. So you could color in the sky part, trim them out, put them on top. So that one would be a really cool card. So that's going to be one. And then the other one we did on the DSP was this one with the fun dots. So we used we used Gorgeous Grape and we used the Sparkle embossing paste. So that looks really fun. This definitely, because the dots are a little bit thicker, it is going to need a little bit of time to dry as well. And then the other one we did, which I can't wait to show you this one. So I just hope this one works out as well as did my mind's eye. But this one was on, thick Whisper White. We did thick Whisper White for everything, but we used Coastal Cabana Gorgeous Grape, and Pretty Peacock, which is a beautiful color combination. So this one, I'm going to save this piece, and I will actually come back because the other part I want to do is a part that involves some fussy cutting to the other addition that's going to go to this. So this one I will do as a separate card. I promise you I will come back and do that one. This one I might just make another version of that. But I actually think that now when I look at it, the water does look pretty good. It does look pretty accurate considering. So I'll hold those up kind of next to each other. It doesn't look too bad. Like theirs is definitely a little smaller, so they probably more so have a piece that would fit like this, and it's kind of off to the side. But I think it looks really cool. I like it a lot. I think it turned out way better than I expected. I hope you guys learned something today. Maybe you are going to use some of your products that you haven't used, or some of the stuff where you really didn't know how to use it, because if you haven't fooled around with it, sometimes it is a little unnerving to get something out and feel like you're going to ruin it. Again, my best tips are make sure you only get out a little bit at a time, reclose it, keep the foil there, that way you can use it and cover it back up. Or as Donna said, which I might need to do for mine now, go get yourself some press and seal and cover it. That'll kind of keep a little bit more of the moisture in as well. So lots of different tips that we learned here today. I am going to take 1 minute really quickly, and I'm going to go back and make sure I didn't miss any of the comments in the last minute or so for questions. So they were very fun. Thank you, Bridget. I hope you guys had a fun time today. The black sparkle is definitely really cool. I think, like I said, I think I'm going to end up finishing this. I think I'm going to send it to Tina, and she's going to have to take up bicycling now instead of biking. Thanks, Cindy, for the purple inspiration. Great job. So good. I'm glad that you wanted to see. Kathy Stoffer said she wanted to see the paste used before she bought it, so that's awesome. And let's see what else. I miss any other things? I hope you guys love the technique. Oh, used to be a swimmer. Me too, Debbie. Debbie, didn't you also used to be on Fame? Wasn't that Debbie Allen? Wasn't she one of the main actresses there? She taught school on Fame. So did you also used to be a dancer? Silver and Rose are still available. Silver and Rose. I'm wondering if you mean embossing paste? Hold on, I'm going to log on here to the clearance rack real quick. Let's see. Fame, I'm gonna live forever. Oh, I can't even help it. It's sad, isn't it? If any of my friends are on here, they're probably dying laughing at me. Silver and Rose. Maybe you meant the Shimmer. Silver. Okay, so I do see silver embossing paste is in the clearance rack. That is true. And as a matter of fact, you can also get, there is that rose gold shimmer paint that's in this medley here. So if you haven't seen that, this is in the clearance rack too, the Everything is Rosy product medley. So that's still in there as well. And I feel like, let me see. So we have Frost White, Champagne, and then you have, yeah, this one is in the Everything is Rosy product medley. So there's definitely still a good amount of stuff there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, whoever else is here, thank you guys so very much. String, Silver and Rose. Okay, let me see. You know what? Now that you said that, let me see. I think it's called Thread. Maybe not. Silver. Thank you for mentioning that, though, because I did want to check it. So we have silver metallic thread, is what you're saying, and then the rose metallic thread. Okay, because I have also still black, gold, green, copper, which, you know, I love using all those things. I think those are some of the most versatile strings to use because they add a lot of something with really not very much to it. So I really love those. I use those all the time. Most of the time, like I said, accidentally, because I don't realize they aren't on the purchasing list any longer. But anyway, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a, oh my gosh, what did you say? Friday night card class, Rachel is coming out. That is so true, Amy. These poor women, if they had to listen to me sing, they probably might not subscribe any longer. So I hope you guys have a great week. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to be live again this week because we are getting ready to do something for the weekend. So if I don't see you, I will see you Tuesday. And what I'll do is I'll finish up one of these cards. We'll do something with one of these, and then we'll have some new ideas as well. But thank you guys as always for joining me. I really truly appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. If you're going out this weekend to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, be sure to wear your green and be safe. You know, everybody can Uber home and Lyft and all that other stuff nowadays, so no excuse not to get home safely. I hope you guys have a wonderful time, and thanks for watching.